Hello guys, Crispy here, welcome back to another video. In this one, my friends, I'm gonna be testing a GeForce GTX 1066GB model in Battlefield 6 Beta. This one is the Gaming X version from MSI. I'm running it with the latest Nvidia drivers and I'm not manually overclocking it. You can see all of its specs here in Tech Power-Ups GPU Z, and over on the left I'm pairing it with the i5-12600KF CPU and 32GB of RAM. Let's get into it, shall we? Let's go over the settings first. We're at 1080p resolution at the moment, utilizing the lowest settings in the game. Wait a second. There we go. This is it. It's not the low settings preset because that still has screen space, ambient occlusion, and global illumination enabled, and I turned it off completely. This is below system requirements anyways, so it's probably more adequate for the old GTX 1060, I guess. Here we go. Conquest. This is looking so similar to Battlefield 4, actually. On low settings without the anti-aliasing here, in this section, with these graphics. Yeah, obviously low textures will look like that, but hey guys, we're getting 60 FPS with a GTX 1066GB model! This is playable! It's not amazing though. This is an enemy tank. Oh boy! Okay, what to do? I panicked a little bit. I wish I had the engineering class there. Alright, there he is, there he is. Wait, get out of the way, get out of the way. Come on. Oh boy, flashbang or whatever the crap this is. Ah, there it is. Wait. Let's put down a mine or play Minesweeper, whatever. Yeah, there we go. Alright, so we're good now. Somehow we survived that the second time around. Okay, so it's not quite 60 FPS all of the time. Obviously, it will depend on the map as well. Some maps will be less intensive than others, and it depends on where you are. If you're looking in this direction, it goes up to 60s, as you can see. If you're looking in the other direction, where things are actually happening, it goes down into the low 50s. Is that bad? I mean, for a 9-year-old GPU, honestly, definitely not. And I feel like this could have been in the minimum requirements, honestly. Like, this is not bad at all for a minimum requirement system. And I've seen, like, plenty of titles recently aiming for, like, 720p resolution with 30 frames per second minimum. Obviously, this being a first-person shooter, that would be pretty unplayable in my opinion. But 50 plus FPS, that's quite decent, guys. I think like a GTX 1070 would be a good contender for minimum requirements here in this game. And given that the game looks really good still on the low settings, that's fantastic performance. The graphics to performance ratio, or the optimization, is really good in this one, and I love it. Oh yes, that's exactly what I wanted from Battlefield 6. You can play it on a 9-year-old GPU, and I bet you can also play it with an older CPU. Obviously, the 12600KF is overkill for this GPU. It's much newer, first of all, and it's a beast compared to the GTX 1060, and this would be better. Beta problems there with the animations. This would be better paired with like an R5 3600 or even 2600 from the minimum requirements. But yeah, I think the 2600 or 3600 will still perform pretty well in this title. You just need a high core count CPU. 4-core, 8-threaded CPU, like an old i7, for example, that shouldn't perform that well. I'll try to bring you guys something like that, you know, very old CPU in this game during the beta still, but I doubt it's going to be a good experience because the game asks for a 6-core CPU on the minimum requirements, and it does consume quite a bit of CPU. Okay. What to do? Just chill for a little bit, assess the situation. There's a guy over there. We both had the same idea of shooting each other with a rocket, but he went for the debris kill, which didn't work. Also, in terms of VRAM allocation there, it's allocating almost 5 gigabytes. So a 4 gigabyte GPU like a GTX 1650 or 1650 Super will definitely struggle here. The minimum requirements ask for 6 gigabyte cards, and I think that's pretty accurate here. I wish they would lower down the texture resolution maybe a little bit more, maybe make a very low settings preset for 4 gigabyte GPUs. Now let's try to aim for those 60 FPS, because Yeah, this is playable, but I can definitely feel a disadvantage here in terms of responsiveness and input lag and so on, because the FPS aren't really ideal. So let's use FSR on quality. This will upscale from 720p. It looks really soft now compared to previously, but not too bad for FSR actually. This is a good implementation of FSR. Wow, I'm very impressed. I'm gonna increase the sharpness a little bit here, 57% sharpness. Yeah, it looks a little bit more pleasing to the eye, I guess, depending on what you want, of course. I prefer a sharper image. A little bit of stuttering here and there is normal in the beta, at least from what I've been seeing. We got that with the RTX 4060, with the RTX 5090 as well, a completely different PC, and I always saw those spikes happening here and there. So that's something that they need to fix and iron out for the final release of the game, and they do have plenty of time for that, of course. Oh, that was terrible. Why did I drop? Come on, come on. Hello. Oh boy, no, he still has ammo. I thought he was out of ammo. Okay, there we go. We still got that. Anyway, this is good for closer to 60 frames per second on average, but it doesn't seem to sustain 60 FPS. This is probably why they didn't put the GTX 1060 in the minimum requirements. But yeah, again, like, if you have an older system, if you want to play Battlefield 6 on it, and you can't upgrade your GTX 1060 at the moment, it will still do surprisingly well. Oh boy, buddy. I'm gonna help you out. Let's go. See? This animation, it's really nice. I love it. Come on! Oh, that was so close, dude. I think my boy got him. Yeah, let's go. Let's go. Please help. There it is. He's returning the favor. Look at that. All right, let's go with the Assault class now. This is not too bad for FSR once again. It's a bit softer, yeah. But I think with a little bit of sharpness, it helps it a bit, and it's still seeable and very playable in terms of graphics fidelity, guys. Unfortunately, though, I thought it would increase our FPS by a bit more than it does. Whoa. Oh, come on, dude. This is so bad. Like, I switched to the Assault class, and now there's a tank very close to us. This is very unfortunate. I'm not being lucky whatsoever in this one. Oh. Beautiful explosion there. Lovely. Why did you need to be there? That huge tube. Okay. I can't see them. I think they're inside of the bushes. Somewhere around there. Let's go. Ah, I missed everything there, dude. Jesus. No. That was so terrible of a play. Again, the recoil coming into play there. It's super hard to control the recoil. I guess you gotta take your shots like in Battlefield 3 with the M16. Remember that? If you did this very far away, it was way more accurate. And I guess that's the same for every game, but yeah. I gotta remind myself of doing that instead of spraying every single time. And we got another big stutter there. Again, just beta stutters, which impact the experience, obviously, but it shouldn't be there in the final release of the game. But hey, if anything, don't pre-order because it might not be fixed in the final release of the game. So yeah, let them cook, let them optimize the game a little bit better in terms of the frame rates and stability, I guess. Well, stability is pretty good though. It doesn't change by all that much depending on what is happening. Even like explosions and particle effects don't drop your FPS by too much. But in terms of the stuttering, every minute or so, or a couple of minutes, you'll have a little spike there. Or this one was because the game just ended, but yeah, you get the idea. They should definitely work on a little bit of the optimization, but it's going in an amazing direction. Okay, so we're now in another map. This one is less intensive, as you can see. It goes up to 80 frames per second sometimes with FSR quality, so it will depend on the map as well, as I told you. And in some maps, the GTX 1060 will be capable of getting more than 60 FPS most of the time, at least. Oh, whoa! Pixelated explosion there because of FSR. But hey, can't complain again. This is getting pretty good performance. We saw the explosion as well. It didn't drop from 60 FPS, although the 1% lows did. So, not sure. Maybe it dropped down to 59 like for a second, and I didn't notice. But let's keep on going here. They're inside of this building. What the? Stop it! Stop pushing me! Okay, okay. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Everything is being destroyed around us. It's already dropping into the 50s. Just like, oh my god, dude, that's crazy. Holy crap. Okay, come on, come on, come on, come on. I want to get this one. Oh no! The reload! Damn it! That's so unlucky. Maybe he hurt us or something. But yeah, it can still drop into the 50s in this map. So if all you want is that 60 FPS average experience, which is pretty decent still for a GTX 1060, FSR quality is the way to go. But I want to try to aim for those 60 plus FPS. I'm gonna go with balanced now. Right, we're on the back of the tank. Here we go, going into battle. This feels pretty awesome as well to do. Really like that they've done that. Okay. Okay. No! No! Two of them! Two of them! Ah! There we go, another one down. Alright, tank, please help me. Please help me a little bit. There we go. I think we're good. This one just died. Come on. Anybody here? No! So close. So close. Can I throw a grenade? No, I already threw one. Oh, there's a bathroom here in the middle of nowhere. Alright, there we go. Come on, dude! No! Ah, damn it! But hey, it actually held up pretty well there in this situation. Not dropping from 60 FPS, delivering a smooth and stable experience. But again, in explosions... and houses just dropping on top of you and so on, it might still drop into the 50s. But that's pretty hard to replicate, so it's probably not going to happen again on balanced FSR. So keep that in mind. It might actually drop in extreme scenarios, but balanced FSR will deliver a little bit more stable of an experience. What the hell are you doing there? Good stuff. All right, let's go. Ooh, that was awesome. Every time there's an explosion, the screen shake is unreal. And what I am really glad isn't Unreal is the engine. Frostbite engine so good compared to Unreal Engine. And at least the optimization that the DICE developers did here, or the Battlefield Studios, I guess, because it's not only DICE, right? 6 different studios making this game. And one of them must be in charge of optimization, because damn, this is some pretty good optimization. Oh boy, yeah, 50s, look at that. Alright, it happened again, guys. Massive explosions, massive particle effects in front of us will still drop us into the 50s. Can I help this guy? Let's go, buddy. Let's go. I got you. Oh, this is so good. Capturing the objective, so let's stay here for a little while longer. Yeah, it's still very enjoyable, guys. I think I would play with these settings. Performance FSR will be a lot worse looking than this because it will render the game at 540p and then upscale it to 1080p, and that's way too low of a resolution. The guy's dead there. But I feel balanced is pretty balanced. I guess that's why it's called balanced. But usually balanced looks terrible, but here, not too bad. Especially if you have like a 24-inch 1080p monitor, this should look decent. And it will deliver 73 FPS average, which is quite nice. Still with drops into the 50s, but again, I'm not complaining here. Alright, 74 FPS average, 55 1% lows. Let's try a little bit of frame generation as well, shall we? Because I haven't tried that yet. It wasn't working for some reason with my RTX 4060, but that was DLSS FG, and this is FSR FG. And now we're up into the 100s, but it doesn't feel like 100 FPS. I don't think... maybe it does? Yeah, you know what? Some things are at 100 FPS. The HUD, for example, and the icons and so on aren't. And it has quite a janky feel to it and look. But yeah, the gameplay itself is definitely at 100 FPS. It's smooth now. However, would I do this? No, because the input lag is insanely high at the moment. Maybe FG will be good if you have like a baseline FPS of 100 frames, but even then it will still introduce input lag. It will just make the visuals smoother, so I think there's no point in utilizing FG in a multiplayer shooter like Battlefield. Even though it smooths out the frame time a bit, and on YouTube it might look a bit better as well, Actually, no. It was still above 60 previously, so... Yeah, in terms of looks, though, I can see a little bit of ghosting in some parts of the picture. You guys probably won't see any difference whatsoever with FG or without FG here. But I am seeing things aren't as clear as they were before. And they were not clear before, because it's balanced FSR still. But now it's a little bit less clear. Again, like, a lot of people do like to play with frame generation, and that's completely fine. If you want to do so, here you go. These are the FPS that you get. I can't really control this with FG. Oh boy. But it's a lot harder to hit those shots with frame generation enabled. Yeah, and do the micro adjustments and so on. Especially when it starts dropping from 100 FPS into the 90s. Whoa, there we go. Alright, at least we got one with FG enabled now. Maybe we did get another one, I don't know actually. Are we good? I think so. But yeah, this can still be quite fun, guys, with GTX 1060, and I'm happy to see this. I'm still going to try like GTX 1650 with 4 GB of VRAM, since that's a very popular GPU as well. Oh, I know some people will probably want to see XeSS as well. I'm going to disable the frame generation here. So let's do XeSS balanced. Okay, this is not too bad with XeSS. Look at that, 60s. It's balanced XeSS, so you get way lower FPS than with balanced FSR. It's also very hard to spot people at the distance with balanced upscaling in general. So keep that in mind. If you are playing long range, yeah, there we go, that was nice actually. You should probably invest in a scope, alright? A good scope. But yeah, this is getting us around the same FPS as FSR quality. It looks a bit better than FSR balanced, but I think it's still inferior to FSR quality in terms of its looks. So I think XeSS being a little bit more intensive doesn't really make sense on a GTX 1060 GPU. So I guess that's about it for this one. We tested XeSS, we tested FSR, different modes in FSR as well. Frame generation, which I totally do not recommend, always at 1080p, but the internal resolution always changed because of the upscaling, so there's that. I think that's it for this video with the GTX 1060. Hope you guys enjoyed, and let me know if this is what you expected coming from such an old GPU. It's definitely a little bit better than what I was thinking. Stay tuned in for more, and as always, love you all. Bye-bye. Let me just keep on going, try to get these kills here. Come on, come on, come on. Let's go. All right, one down. Let's go again. Here we go. Yeah, boy. There it is. Another one. There it is. Everybody's dead. Woohoo!